the heartbroken mother and stepfather of a 7-year-old girl who was killed death by her violent, criminal father in a murder-suicide last month, have told how her death could have been prevented had it not been for the failure of the court system to protect her. Kayden Mancuso, 7, was found by her stepfather Brian Sherlock in the living room of her father Jeffrey Manusco's home in Philadelphia on August 6. Manusco, who has multiple assault convictions and once bit a man's ear off in a bar fight, but was still allowed to have unsupervised visits with Kayden, hit her over the head with a weight, then suffocated her with a plastic bag before killing himself. On Thursday, Kayden's mother Kathy and her stepfather Brian Sherlock appeared on ABC's Nightline to share their grief and frustration after trying in vain to stop Manusco from having access to the little girl for months before her death. Scroll down for video. ABC privacy policy. They are now appealing to Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf to change the law to protect children in custody battles more, and are trying to have the family judge who ruled in Manusco's favor removed from the bench. Describing her daughter's murder as absolutely preventable, Kathy fumed, "Every single thing that could have stopped it at some point, it just didn't." She and Manusco never married and only started living together when she fell pregnant with Kayden after a fling on the Jersey Shore in 2011. She believed it was the right thing to do for her daughter, and she relied on his mother for childcare. He domestically abused her, once strangling her so severely that she thought she was going to die. Nevertheless, she stayed because she thought it was the right thing for her daughter, and she relied on Manusco's mother for childcare. When Manusco's was arrested for biting off a man's ear in a bar fight, she left and met her husband Brian. They have had 2 sons together and married recently in a ceremony where Kayden served as a flower girl. Manusco was outraged by their new happy family life and formally sought partial custody of Kayden. Until then, the girl's parents operated within a casual agreement that he would pay child support and get to see his daughter on the weekends. Kathy fought his legal attempts because he was becoming more unpredictable. After learning that Manusco had even assaulted his own mother in front of Kayden, she sought a restraining order against him. "I tried everything, but the police were like, well, he's not hurting you. They were all about abuse and neglect. If I couldn't prove that he was abusing me, which sure I had records from months before, but no one's going to listen to you. Why didn't you do anything then?" she said she was told. As part of her court battle, she had to undergo psychiatric evaluation. She was deemed to be healthy but suffering anxiety. Manusco, on the other hand, was deemed incapable of taking responsibility for his actions and was diagnosed as having a major depressive disorder, moderate with anxious disorder. He also, the psychiatrist said, identified with narcissistic and antisocial personality traits. Teachers and other parents from Kayden's school testified about him threatening them with violence. He was banned from the premises and from making contact with school staff because of his temper. In spite of all this, Bucks County Judge Jeffrey G. Troger said that Manusco should be able to have unsupervised visits with Kayden because she was not afraid of him. Manusco's sister now admits that she was afraid of him after seeing him hit his own mother. In his ruling, Judge Troger wrote, Kayden presents as a happy kid with a generally normal relationship with both parents despite the volatile relationship they have with each other. After the judge handed down his decision, Manusco would arrive at Brian and Kathy's home with the judge's order in his hand and demand to see the girl. Kathy now says her biggest regret is not ignoring the judge's decision and going to jail herself in order to keep Kayden away from her father. There were times where I just said my biggest mistake was I should have just gone into contempt or jail or whatever they do to moms that don't let their kids go. But she was dragged out of my house by the police one time, so there was nothing I could really do. Jeffrey was standing in front of my house, shaking his court order, saying it's my custody, and the police came in and said, we have to follow the judge's orders. On August 5th, Manusco failed to bring Kayden home on time as he had promised to. Kathy called 911 and said she feared her daughter was in danger, but the police refused to go to the house. They hung up on me. They said, we're not going to go to the house. Is there any reason you feel she's in danger? I said, there's a million reasons why I feel she's in danger, and he said, have a nice night, ma'am, and hung up on me, Kathy recalled. Brian went round to the home the next day and gained entry, though an unlocked door. He found Kayden dead in the living room. He was nearby. It is not clear how he killed himself. Now, Kathy and Brian are appealing to Pennsylvania's governor to change the laws to better protect children. In a message to Judge Troger, Kathy said on Thursday, "You protected his rights versus hers. Essentially, his right to be a parent was more so important than her right to live." Judge Troger did not respond to DailyMail.com's request for comment at the time of Kayden's death. He also ignored a repeated request on Thursday in response.